Hey everyone, I wanted to have like a little get to know you video. So I thought I'd share 3 things that I am glad I did before I got married. So I wrote it down here. So, cause I was like thinking, like, what do I want to share? And so I kept like, there was like a number of things, but like kept it to the top 3. And the first one, don't laugh at me, travel. Travel, 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 travel. I am like a queen of travel. Like I love to travel. I don't travel too often now because we got the littles, but that would be like my biggest advice probably. Okay, these are not in order of importance, but this is like a key one. If you are in your like 20s and you're in college, like get your travel bug out now, because come time you have kids, you either won't be able to afford to take them or you won't want to take them. So get the travelness out now while you can, while you have like total independence. That would be huge. Like I went to China, I went to South America twice. Like I got my fill so that when it came time for like not being able to travel, I'll be able to have those memories and just kind of relive that in my mind to get me through the times when traveling's not as possible. 2, okay, get this. You guys are gonna be like, what? Kept my virginity. I am not even kidding. Honest to goodness. That is one of the biggest things. And this is probably the most obviously important thing is I did not sleep with anyone before I got married. And this was huge. Like my parents were always about like teaching us kids, like save that for your future spouse, save that for your future spouse, and save that for your future spouse. So I grew up in a household where like you didn't just sleep willy-nilly with like whoever happened to be your boyfriend at the time. Like it was gonna be something for your spouse, like a gift for your spouse. And I'm really glad that they taught me that, because like imagine if I had slept with every guy under the sun, like 50 boys, right? Like then come time for like Prince Charming, like, you know, you're not going to be as satisfied with your sex life if you've slept with like 50 other people, because then you're always going to compare your Prince Charming to like the other people that you slept with. Like it's just not going to be as fulfilling. And so I'm really glad that I kept that as my gift to my future spouse. So then like, you know, if you do, and you're of the age where you can still like keep that for your future spouse, then it's like much more meaningful, and it's going to be much more wow and fabulous because you have nothing else to compare it to. So like that first time is like the magical, you know, fabulousness. So that is one thing I did. I'm really grateful I did. And now like it's all great and fabulous because I only have my husband and he saved himself for myself. Does that even, I don't know if that's grammatically correct. He saved himself for me. And so now like that makes it just that much more special and exciting. So tip, if you can do so, do so. Third thing I would say is one thing that I'm glad I did pre-marriage was to, what was my third thing? Oh yes, biggest thing is we also, so my husband, Mark, and I, before we got married, this is like 2 months, maybe a month and a half before we got married, we read this book together, and it was like 300 questions for LDS couples to ask because we were of the same religion. And obviously, if you're Catholic, find like a Catholic version or a Baptist version or a Presbyterian version or a Methodist version, whatever, right? Of like 300 questions that you need to answer before you get married. And there were some questions in there that were like, hadn't even crossed my mind. Like, for example, one of the questions was like, is there a family name that your first child needs to have in order to have like, you know, fulfill some family tradition, you know? So if every guy's been named like Ichabod Crane for the last 6 generations, does your son need to have the name Ichabod? And if you're like, heck no, then you might need to rethink this. Like maybe it's a game changer for you. Maybe it isn't. Maybe you name Ichabod Crane, but he has a nickname of Alexander or like something fabulous like that. You know, I'd love that name. So like you just have to like talk about everything and like cover all the bases. So then there's no surprises, right? How awful would it be if you got married and then there's skeletons in the closet that you had no idea of, and you're like, wow, that would have really nice to know before we seal the deal. But honestly, like, it's so great to go in with both eyes wide open, know exactly what's what, if there's anything you need to know about, and then have that clean slate and just know, like, okay, we're starting fresh. This is great. And you're just more likely to have, I feel like, success if you talk about everything under the sun before you say I do. And we did that. We went through this book and we really got a good picture of like where we see eye to eye and where some areas we might want to compromise in. And so, like, I remember telling Mark, okay, I don't have any crazy skeletons in the closet, but there will be no 5 p.m. dinners. Like, I am not a good cook. I could do grilled cheese and spaghetti, maybe. And I may burn some rice. But, like, I was totally frank about that. So then, like, he wouldn't be like, where's my dinner? Like, you know, I don't know. Like, some guys, maybe guys don't expect that. But I was just, you know, in my head, I wanted to be like, you know, the perfect wife, and the perfect wife has her junk together and she has dinner ready at a certain time and the kids are all dressed well and the house is always good. Like, you know, like, that's not realistic. But in my head, like, that's what I like aspired to be, right? Like, it hasn't turned out. It hasn't turned out. But like, I just wanted to make sure that I was honest and being like, cooking's a weakness of mine, so I don't want to like let you down if you're expecting dinner and like there's like none. Like, let's just have it all out there, okay? So this was like something that we talked about in these like 300 questions. Like, I wanted to make sure I was being 100% honest with him. I'm not a good cook. I wanted to make sure that he was being honest with me in all facets of life. And that was so great. And so I highly suggest getting a book like that. And honestly, if you can't find a good book on Amazon or anywhere, just honestly make up your questions. Make up any question that you want answered, any question under the sun, and then go through, have him make his own questions, you make your questions, and then spend a day going over everything. So then nothing is a surprise. Like, that is like something that can make your marriage really, really last. So those are the 3 things that I did pre-marriage, and I'm really glad I did. 1, I got some traveling out of my system, pre-kids, right? 2, I saved myself my most special part of myself for my husband. So our wedding honeymoon night would be magical, and it was. Yes, it was very beautiful. So if you can, do that. Now, number 3, I would definitely make sure that you talk about every question in the sun so that there's no surprises post-marriage. We did that 300 question book and it was great. So find an equivalent for you. If you are of a certain faith, there's got to be a book out there that applies to those that are of your faith and questions that you need to talk about pre-marriage. So highly, highly suggested. Anyway, let me know about anything you want to in the comment section below. If you're surprised, if you're shocked, if you totally agree, if you don't agree, we'll still be friends.